I want you to think about Christmas, not through its music, its rituals, or its food, although I'm very fond of all three of those, but through its images. Close your eyes and picture Christmas. Welcome to Articulate. I'm Daniel Trump. Now, I'm willing to bet that what comes to mind when I asked you to think of Christmas owes an enormous debt to the Victorians. From snowy cottages and roaring hearths to plump Santas, festive parlours and families holding hands around a Christmas tree. So much of what we imagine today was quite literally drawn into being in the 19th century. Christmas as we see it is a Victorian invention. And perhaps the most influential single moment in this visual story comes in 1843, when a bureaucrat with too much correspondence on his hands launched an entirely new tradition. Henry Cole, a man usually credited with helping to establish the modern postal service, found himself overwhelmed with the number of seasonal letters he was expected to send. So he commissioned his friend, the painter John Callcott Horsley, to design a ready-made Christmas card. The result was a small triptych, a family toasting together in the centre, flanked by scenes of charity to the poor. It was moral instruction wrapped in festive sentiment. It also caused a miniature scandal because one of the children appears to be drinking wine. But controversy aside, it set the tone. Domestic warmth, communal joy, a dash of Victorian virtue signalling. This was the beginning of the Christmas image world, ready for mass reproduction. Over the following decades, artists rushed into this new iconography. One of the most widely circulated painters of the period was John Everett Millais. Now, Millais isn't usually thought of as a Christmas artist, but his winter scenes became immensely popular in print form. Christmas Eve, painted in 1887, captures that delicious moment of expectancy, children waiting at the window, a lamplight glowing against the snow. And then there's Blow, Blow, Thou Winter Wind, inspired by Shakespeare, where winter functions as a metaphor for the brittleness of human relationships. What Millais understood, and what made his images perfect for Christmas cards, is the emotional elasticity of the season. The Victorians wanted sentiment, yes, but they also wanted a gentle melancholy, a recognition that the year is coming to a close. Millais gave them both, wrapped in a deep drapery of snow. Now, if Millais supplied the tenderness, then Walter Dendy Sadler brought the humour. His paintings of bustling parlour rooms and slightly chaotic family gatherings became a staple of late Victorian prints and calendars. You can picture them, someone losing at cards, someone asleep by the fire, someone pretending not to have had too much brandy. Sadler's scenes aren't moralising, they're affectionate parodies of domestic life. And when reproduced as chromolithographs, which they frequently were, they offered the Victorian public a mirror on their own festivities, a chance to laugh gently at the rituals they performed every year. In many ways, Sadler gave us the template for the cosy Christmas interior, the room in which half the modern Christmas card industry still lives. But if one figure truly defines the Victorian Christmas imagination, it's Charles Dickens. And that means we must turn to his illustrators. John Leech, who illustrated A Christmas Carol in 1843, effectively fixed the look of Dickensian Christmas for generations to come. The ghosts of Christmas past and present, Scrooge clutching his nightshirt, the Cratchit family around their meagre feast. Leech's images were widely reprinted, and they became the visual companions to Dickens' moral universe. And then there's Hablot Knight Browne, known as Fizz, whose illustrations for Pickwick Papers and other novels helped to establish bustling snowy streets, crowded inns and good-natured English chaos as essential components of the season. These images weren't just decorative, they shaped how the Victorian families understood Christmas itself, as a time of moral reckoning, conviviality and theatrical transformation. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, another illustrator was busy giving Christmas its most enduring icon. Thomas Nast, working for Harper's Weekly, took various European legends of St. Nicholas and transformed them into a single unified figure: Santa Claus. Nast gave Santa his red suit, his fur trim, his jolly girth, his North Pole home, his workshop of toys. If Horsley invented the Christmas card, Nast invented the man who appears on half of them. His images reinforced the idea of Christmas as a season of abundance and generosity, ideas that travelled easily between Victorian Britain and the rapidly modernising United States. And then in a slightly different register, there's Edwin Landseer. Landseer wasn't a Christmas painter in any literal sense, yet his Monarch of the Glen, with its noble stag emerging from Highland mist, became part of the Victorian winter imaginary. Landseer's sentimental depictions of animals were reproduced on print tins and seasonal decorations. They offered Victorian audiences a winter landscape that was both majestic and emotionally charged. It's easy to see how this aesthetic seeped quietly into the Christmas imagery: the dignified solitude of the stag, the soft haze of snow, the feeling of something ancient lingering in the cold air. Put all of this together: Horsley's first card, Millais' tender winters, Sadler's domestic comedy, Dickensian streets, Nast's Santa, Landseer's Highland drama, and you begin to see how the Victorians did something quite extraordinary. They didn't just celebrate Christmas, they illustrated it, they codified it, they reproduced it, and they distributed it. They turned Christmas into an image, and those images, endlessly reprinted on cards, calendars, biscuit tins and magazine covers, created a shared visual culture that still frames our sense of the season today. So, as you unwrap your presents or send your own Christmas cards this year, you're participating in a tradition that began with a slightly harassed Victorian postal reformer, a few sentimental artists, and a world eager for pictures that brought warmth into the winter. The Victorian Christmas wasn't just invented in stories, it was invented in images, and we're still living inside them today. Thank you for watching Articulate, and Merry Christmas everybody, and best wishes for the new year.